Like my dopamine is so cooked. Life is better sober. Life sucks sober. I can't stand being sober.
We scroll while we eat, we text while we work, and we binge when we're meant to sleep. But when is enough enough?
You are doom scrolling and it's killing your focus.
If social media and scrolling doesn't scare you a little bit, just think about the fact that it is chemically training your brain to prevent you from doing anything long-term and meaningful.
Full day of dopamine and serotonin maxing done. Woke up late, chugged a Celsius, makeup, favorite outfit, went to go and look cool and hot in a city. Do I feel anything inside? No. Will I keep chasing dopamine to feel anything at all? Yes.
Our lives have turned into an endless stream of tiny dopamine hits, and somewhere along the way, we've slowly lost our sense of agency and autonomy. If you've ever caught yourself endlessly scrolling through TikTok or binging YouTube videos until 3 a.m., you're not alone. Around the world, millions of individuals like you and me are getting caught up in the new era of digital consumption. And for Gen Z especially, the notion of instant gratification has become a defining trait of our everyday lives.
But I want it now!
We've slowly become a generation raised on technology that delivers immediate rewards. Whether it's streaming platforms that remove the need to wait between episodes, or social media apps that offer immediate validation through the number of views, likes, and comments. Over time, this expectation of immediate results has seeped into everyday aspects of our lives, fueling a culture of urgency, impatience, and constant stimulation. For a lot of us, we've slowly come to terms with our newfound need for immediate gratification, the desire to feel good now rather than doing the harder thing that pays off later. A big reason for this is the disappearance of friction in our everyday lives. Historically, almost everything meaningful required a level of waiting associated with it. One of my core memories as a kid was sitting in the car and waiting patiently for my favorite song to play on the radio. Back then, the anticipation was almost as enjoyable as the song itself, and when it did play, you received this little jolt of excitement and you were giddy to get to sing along with the lyrics. To put things into context, this was less than 2 decades ago, and the concept of on-demand entertainment to our day's scale and magnitude was unimaginable. Fast forward to today, and streaming platforms like Netflix, Disney Plus, and Hulu have transformed our media consumption experience. Instead of waiting for scheduled TV programs or relying on whatever song happened to be playing on the radio, we now have an endless library of content available instantly at our fingertips. These platforms have fundamentally shifted the way we interact with digital media. No more physical CDs, DVDs, or weekly TV slots. While my generation grew up on the concept of Blockbuster and Video Easy stores, the new generation would think the concept of a DVD, let alone renting a DVD, to be absolutely absurd.
What the heck is that thing?
Instead, what we have today are algorithms that serve us personalized recommendations, autoplay which keeps us watching without pause, and entire seasons of shows dropping at once, encouraging non-stop consumption. Long gone are the days of rolling down the car window by hand and eagerly anticipating the next track on the radio.
You know how stupid this looks and you go, mother.
Today's digital world is built around convenience, immediacy, and on-demand access, creating a culture where waiting feels unnecessary and patience has become almost obsolete. To ensure we continue consuming, algorithms have also become incredibly accurate at predicting exactly what kind of content we'll consume without hesitation. They study everything we do, what we watch, how long we hover, and what we swipe past, and craft a feed designed to target our emotional vulnerabilities. And if you think this is just unique to entertainment, you couldn't be more wrong. Nowadays, we have food delivery apps which anticipate the evenings you're too tired to cook, social media platforms that send nudges the moment your engagement dips, and dating apps that maintain an endless queue of potential matches, always ready for just one more. Every facet of our lives now offers an immediate, frictionless reward. At the same time, our cultural values have evolved to prioritize speed above everything else. Fast has now become synonymous with desirable, and we continue to pay and consume services that allow instant rewards. The concepts of same-day shipping, instant replies, and rapid outcomes has become normalized in our everyday society. Our loss of agency and our expectation of immediate rewards has become so deeply embedded in our everyday lives that we barely even notice that it's happening. No one consciously thinks for themselves anymore, and we've meticulously engineered an environment and society to eliminate delay, minimize effort, and provide ongoing immediate stimulation in all facets of our lives. For Gen Zs, we've been acclimated to the notion of needing things and needing things now.
Where's my golden ticket? I want my golden ticket!
Look, here's the uncomfortable truth that you probably don't want to hear. Our attention and our impulses are not neutral. We have become a product of the algorithm, and the product being sold is us. Modern corporations don't just compete on price or quality anymore. They compete on how effectively they can intertwine outcomes with your reward system. The more often they can trigger a positive dopamine response from you, the more likely you are to stay and scroll. A great example is social media platforms, which are specifically designed to provide us with variable rewards. Sometimes our post blows up, sometimes it flops, and it's this unpredictability that's addictive, reflective of the same psychological mechanisms used in gambling platforms and slot machines. And the thing is, this is by design and not by accident. The longer you stay engaged, the more data they collect, and the more ads they serve, the easier it becomes to predict what you want next. All of these examples I provided are just touching the surface in understanding how our brain is conditioned to do what's easy and to do what makes us happy in the moment. The dopamine economy that we live in has slowly shifted from selling products to selling experiences and emotions. For a lot of us who feel increasingly overwhelmed by the world around us, we often turn to digital media as an outlet and as a medium for us to voice our opinions and share our thoughts. That being said, not all digital interaction is meant to hijack your attention, and with the advancement of technology, there's also access to more mediums than ever before to connect and share. One of these mediums is AI companions, and I want to take a minute to thank the sponsor of today's video, MyBot.ai. MyBot is an AI companion platform that's purposely built for tailored and intentional conversations. You can create your own characters, build your own personalities, and curate conversations that are definitively unique to you. My favorite part of the platform, besides the fact that I can have a chat with my good friend Levi, is how intentional the conversations feel. We've come a long way since the early days of LLM models, and MyBot.ai encompasses the intrinsic feelings of connection we get from having conversations and sharing our thoughts. There's the ability to choose who you want to speak to in a conversation style and format that's tailored to you. At the end of the day, it's a safe space to share your thoughts, and that's exactly the point. It's about understanding that not all technology is inherently harmful, and the real value is derived from how we choose to use these mediums to fulfill our innate desires. If you're curious about AI companions, the link is in the description. Go check them out. The concept of instant gratification and our immediate need for dopamine rewards is not a new phenomenon. I've spoken about this previously, but there was a very interesting TED Talk delivered by Harvard graduate Tim Urban, which touches on the concept of procrastination and why it's taken over our modern day lives.
Both brains have a rational decision maker in them, but the procrastinator's brain also has an instant gratification monkey.
Tim introduces the concept of the instant gratification monkey, which is a metaphor for the part of the brain that craves immediate rewards and distracts from long-term goals and obligations.
So he actually takes the wheel and he says, actually, let's read the entire Wikipedia page of the Nancy Kerrigan-Tanya Harding scandal, because I just remembered that happened. Then we're gonna go over to the fridge, we're gonna see if there's anything new in there since 10 minutes ago. After that, we're gonna go on a YouTube spiral that starts with videos of Richard Feynman talking about magnets and ends much, much later with us watching interviews with Justin Bieber's mom.
The monkey lives on the concept of procrastination and leeches in the pleasure of the present moment, avoiding any tasks that require effort or delayed rewards. The monkey, suffice to say, is not someone you want behind the wheel of your decision making. He lives entirely in the present moment. He has no memory of the past, no knowledge of the future, and he only cares about two things: easy and fun. For our generation, and Gen Z especially, there's a constant struggle between the instant gratification monkey and the rational decision maker. It's a continuous tug of war, with the instant gratification monkey dragging our attention towards what feels good right away, and the rational decision maker pushing us towards what actually makes sense and benefits us in the long run. Each of us watching this video has the instant gratification monkey and the rational decision maker within our brains. The terrible thing is, our neurons have been fried from years of conditioning to senseless scrolling and overstimulation that for a lot of the time, the instant gratification monkey will win the struggle. The monkey will drag us into the dark playground where pleasure is filled with anxiety, guilt, and stress because we know we should be working on important tasks instead of doing what's easy. Interestingly, there have been multiple scientific studies that have backed up the concept of the instant gratification monkey. For example, a 2020 study in PLOS1 tracked people's actual smartphone use and found that heavier users were more likely to choose smaller, immediate rewards over larger, delayed ones. This phenomenon was termed delayed discounting, and users who were suffering from it tended to report lower self-control and were more prone to letting short-term pleasure win over long-term goals. Similarly, neuroimaging research on problematic smartphone and internet use has also linked excessive use to changes in brain regions involved in cognitive control and decision making. This is especially prevalent in our prefrontal cortex, which houses our reward circuits and is known as the main driver for a lot of behavioral addictions. For a lot of us, we like to believe that we use our dopamine receptors in moderation, but the reality is that our livelihoods are far from normal. We live in a world that is more connected, yet lonelier than ever before. From the moment we wake up to the second we go to sleep, we're plugged into an endless stream of information. We're expected to always be on, reachable, productive, and responsive, even whilst facing the endless torment of societal pressures. This constant influx of overloading information makes it hard for anything to truly stand out or impact us deeply. We begin to stress, and our anxious thoughts breed internal discomfort. And in order to deal with the stresses of everyday life, dopamine responses offer micro escapes from that discomfort. Scroll a bit, and you feel distracted. Receive a comment and you may feel noticed. Over time, this can become a dangerous cycle where it's not just about pleasure anymore, and dopamine responses become a coping mechanism to deal with our real world problems. The interesting thing is that our brain is not designed to be a passive receiver of dopamine. When we repeatedly overstimulate our reward system, whether through social media, junk food, gaming, or online shopping, our brain eventually says, this is too much, and it begins to desensitize itself to our environment. Our dopamine receptors become less responsive, and the same amount of stimulation produces a weaker effect, causing us to want more and more to feel the same level of satisfaction. One episode becomes 3, 10 minutes of scrolling becomes an hour, and in extreme cases, this can contribute to addictive patterns and even symptoms that resemble depressive episodes. Low motivation, an inability to focus, and a fleeting sense of joylessness. We start to become emotionally numb to our surroundings, and we begin to scroll past important news stories without really absorbing them, swipe through emotional posts without feeling a sense of empathy, and consume content at such a rapid pace that nothing ever truly sinks in. There's a term for this, and it's been coined the doomer, which is a reflection of our everyday lives. It portrays someone who has become detached, disillusioned, and emotionally drained by the world around them. This isn't just a meme or a character, it's reflective of a very real phenomenon.
Is anyone else like too aware? Like, I'm too aware that this is all temporary, this is all part of the human experience, and that nothing matters, and that everything is subconscious programming and everything is made up.
The doomer mindset is a coping mechanism, a way to shield oneself from the emotional impact of a world that feels increasingly chaotic and out of control. But the thing is, it also illustrates more centralized nuances in our society, namely the way our digital consumption habits are shaping our mental health and our ability to connect with others on a meaningful level. As a generation, we've been desensitized to the concept of normal. As technology and algorithms become even more advanced, the next generation will grow up in a hyper-stimulated world of constant information and endless choice. Every spare moment will offer a new notification, a new video, and a new hit of dopamine. In that environment, the real challenge will be learning how to pause rather than react, to unplug without feeling empty, and to choose perspective and nuance over endless distraction. Because in a world that's designed to keep the instant gratification monkey in control, protecting your attention may be the best decision you ever make. Very quickly, I've noticed a large proportion of my viewers aren't subscribed. So if you're enjoying the video, it'd mean the world to me if you could subscribe, but more importantly, leave a comment. It's absolutely free, an amazing way for you to share your views and a way for me to connect with my community. I'll see you in the next episode.